Holcomb, Kansas, November 15th, 1959. The investigation and preliminary profiles.
The subject, Nancy Clutter, was 16 years old. As I've been profiling her, reports seem to characterize her as tenacious and genuine. Her only flaws seem to be overworking herself, and possibly as another point of dissension, her relationship with her boyfriend, Bobby Rupp. Reports from her best friend Susan seem to indicate that Herb Clutter disapproved of the boy due to his Catholic faith, as the Clutters were Methodist. Other than this source of conflict, Nancy appears to be a friend to all as president of the 4-H Club, even helping a friend bake a pie on the date of her murder. Evidence within the text, The Last to See Them Alive, specifically titles Nancy as a town darling. Evidence shows as well that Nancy placated Perry before her murder, chatting with him and remaining calm. This strength and charisma is known within the town to be a character trait passed down from her father.
Well, I don't think we can look to Herb Clutter for a motive. He was a very respectable community leader. He was very prominent in his church and even in the Kansas Conference of Farm Organizations. He was respected by almost every single person in Homecomb, even his employees. The only complaint that they had about him was the fact that he was a very dry man. He wouldn't let anyone, even his employees, drink, not even his family members. I mean, I guess one of the only complaints that they could have about this man was from Bobby Rupp himself. But Herb was a Methodist, and he didn't want his daughter, Nancy, to hang around Bobby only because of his Roman Catholic faith. And I guess we could see some conflict there. But again, I don't think we can look to her, and we can't look to as a robbery as a motive either. Herb was a man who was notorious for not keeping any money on him at all times. He wrote checks to everyone, even for the littlest of things. So it's if these people who murdered this family knew them, they would know that no money was kept inside the Clutter house itself. And the way the murders were done, it is very clear that this was planned very meticulously. But like I said, Herb was a man who could be respected. He came from nothing. He was graduated from K-State University with a degree in agriculture. He was a very healthy man, lived his life for his family and for his faith. And for that fact, this is a man who lived for the American dream. And whoever did that, whoever killed this man and his family, they had something against their ideals and the way that this man lived his life.
The victim. Bonnie Clutter is a mother of 4 and is wife to Herbert Clutter. It's possible that Bonnie was a victim due to her severe depression. According to the text, from the birth of her child Nancy, and then with Kenyon, the pattern of postnatal depression repeated itself and followed the birth of her son. The mood of misery that descended never altogether lifted. She often spends time in a psychiatric hospital to help with her illness, and she struggled to maintain Herb's image as a leader. Bonnie attempted to make him proud by socializing with those in the community when she is able to, but her inability to integrate in the society is a possible motive for her murder.
Our victim's name is Kenyon Clutter. He's 15 years old, the youngest and only male child of the Clutter family. When we questioned the community, they described him as intelligent, introverted, and athletic. He was typically a loner and either spent time with his best friend Bob Jones or toying with electronics in the Clutter household. I believe he was described as a loner because, as we look in the text, he had an inability to function without glasses, preventing him from making friends through sports, i.e. baseball and basketball. Sources say Kenyon and his best friend Bob spent less time together because Bob had recently gotten a girlfriend. Although, we can rule Bob out as a suspect immediately, as he was with his girlfriend and then at home all night. Crime scene showed that Kenyon's room was undisturbed, but his glasses lay at the end of his bed, and his body was found in the basement. Cause of death was a shotgun blast to the head, but he was laid on the sofa with a pillow behind him. This odd display seems to show a sense of caring as opposed to Erb's death, which seemed more grisly.
We are looking for two Caucasian men, a pair who, based on the nature of their crime, fall into the category of killers known as family annihilators. Based on the aforementioned documentation, the last to see them alive, we know these men's identities to be Perry Smith and Dick Hickok. Both these men are ex-cons. They share many traits, such as past accidents, which in both cases resulted in permanently marring injuries. These injuries most likely caused them to feel ostracized from society, so when the men finally found friendship in each other, the bond they formed was strong. They feed off one another. Dick meets Perry's desire for approval, while Perry's strong affection for Dick allows Dick to feel empowered. Both men are also attentive to hygiene, which is partially why the crime scene is relatively clean and organized. The last to see them alive text also includes the many differences that exist between Dick and Perry. The most namely of these is that Dick has a strong family ties, both with his siblings and parents, as well as in the fact he has been twice married and has 3 children. Perry, however, is not known to have any communication with his family, and can only be traced to one relationship, one between him and a nurse named Cookie, whose name is, according to the text, tattooed on Perry. Another difference is that Dick is able to hold down a steady job as a mechanic, while Perry cannot. Partially because of his frequent emotional outbursts, his, according to a close friend, explosive emotional reactions out of all proportion to the occasion. Dick is also much more organized and a realist, while Perry is a dreamer. Perry's plans to flee to Mexico following the crime, as well as his frequent fantasies of performing, demonstrate a man whose head is truly in the clouds. Rifts in their relationship are evident, however, and playing on these will be how we catch them. Perry's relationship with Willie J., one disliked by Dick, allows Perry a more rewarding relationship. Willie J. symbolizes his hope for redemption, the part of him that wishes to leave behind a life of crime. Willie J. is, according to Perry, the only one who ever gave a damn about him. These men are armed and dangerous with obviously damaged morals. When you apprehend them, they will most likely go down with a fight.